him and Hart being out, that's a problem. Right? That's a problem. Hart presents so many matchup problems because he plays like a big, but he's a guard. He brings the ball up. He can shoot threes, whatever. So him being kind of like this jack of all trades thing really is something that fuels the Knicks. And then he's so scrappy. He is really an energy source for that team. The two of them, for basically your offensive leader and your defensive leader, to both be compromised, that's an issue. The other thing is Detroit, young team, confidence is swelling now, right? This is the game that we said they couldn't win because they're young and they haven't been there before. But down the stretch, Cade Cunningham makes all the great plays, including that pass. You see that pass?
Oh, he's pretty good.
Dude, it was incredible. And there's a point where you see, oh no, they're not scared at all. Duran it was active on the glass, very Johnny on the spot with all the finishes around the basket. And then you got the vets like Beasley and Harris. They're going to make timely shots. Detroit is in a position now where it's like, I think we can win this series.
Well, and you know, we just said that the Knicks haven't closed out a series at home since 1999. The Detroit Pistons have not won a home playoff game since 2008, all right? But I'm not surprised that Detroit won that game last night. I am surprised that they won that game that was that close with 4 or 5 minutes left, and they made all the plays down the stretch. I mean, Cunningham, who struggled for the most part, had 13 points in the final 8 minutes of the game, and they're getting all the stops, and they're making all the big plays. It was like a super grown-up moment for that team.
Zaz, that's the game we said they couldn't win. Yeah. Like that kind of game. We didn't say they couldn't win games. We said, like those close games. That scenario. Yeah. That's the one where they couldn't win. And it's funny because Cunningham the other night, remember, had the shot he wanted and missed it, and they lose that game with the Tim Hardaway foul, no foul, whatever. Watching him come back and almost like process that and say, okay, the same thing's not going to happen again. That was amazing.
To Amin's point, though, Hart and Brunson left the game, and while I can give Detroit credit for it, that's where it happened. Like, as soon as they limped off the court, I was waiting for Thibodeau to call the timeout or get the stoppage to get the both of them back in the game, because that's where it spread and that's where it lost. But when you guys mentioned Cade Cunningham, okay, I don't know, did he get to 50 at MSG when they won early during the regular season at MSG, and he won the game late? Cade Cunningham is very interested in being a star, and this is exactly how you do it. This is the team you do it against, and he already did it once this season in Madison Square Garden, where he really liked the idea of doing it in Madison Square Garden. If you take this series from the Knicks and you break New York's heart and you do it in a Game 7, and you do it in a Game 7 in New York when they can't close out a series this century there, Cade Cunningham will on the spot become someone who joins a conversation that is where all of these good players are. With one series, he will do it. He will enter the stardom that he wishes to have.
So he had a 36-point game during the regular season. But, Dan, this is why I call the playoffs an infomercial. It's the greatest infomercial of them all, because there are people who do it night in, night out, and literally the basketball-watching public doesn't know because they don't watch Detroit, or because when they watch Detroit, nothing happened, whatever. And then you get on the stage, and this is where you announce yourself. It's the same thing that happened to Tyrese Halliburton last year. He did it a little bit in the in-season tournament, and then by the time he got to the playoffs, that's where it got solidified against the Knicks, and then in the conference finals against the Celtics. This is when you do Anthony Edwards 4 or 5 years ago, right? When we were like the Wolves are just a bunch of screw-ups, and Anthony Edwards was like, oh, no, I can take control. That's where these people ascend. And so he's doing that ascension right now. I don't even think he needs to win the series. At this point, I think he's put himself on the map. I'm one of those guys. I heard Kendrick Perkins talk about this. Say, if I'm Giannis, I would want to go to Detroit and play with Cade Cunningham. And, I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that says volumes that now Cade Cunningham is a guy mentioned that people want to go play with. This is how it starts.
I was skeptical at the beginning of the Cade Cunningham experience because I had seen a lot of players with high usage rates get viewed better than they are. Bridges is suffering from this right now in New York. God almighty, the Knicks fan hates Bridges. He's getting all of it. And I keep saying to my friends who are Knicks fans, do you guys understand how hard it is to be the third of the usage rates in that sport? Bosh and Love were able to do it, and Drew Holiday can do it, but it's what are you shaking your hands about?
To be fair, Bosh and Love walked in the door, top 5 picks, here's your franchise. win. Everything is going through you. You're scoring the points. You're being all-stars. You're being all these accolades. And then they had to go be the third of the usage rates. Mikal Bridges was a middle-of-the-first-round pick who was a really good role player with Phoenix and then got traded to a Brooklyn team for Kevin Durant, so they didn't have anything. So then it's like, okay, Mikal Bridges, we'll give you a taste of the limelight. And he was great that half season, and then the next season we realized, oh yeah, he's not really suited to be a high usage player. If anything, this is a return to what should be a familiar environment for him, being just a guy. I'm great.
He doesn't want to be it anymore, though.
I don't know. I don't know if he can be the other one though. Like,
do you think of what the Knicks could have? They gave up 5 unprotected for Mikal Bridges. Like, what could they have gotten for that?
But I mean, when you give that much up for him, you announce on the spot, we think of you that way.
Dan, this is the point that I made at the time because everyone was like, well, it's the power of friendship. Oh, they're going to all the buddies from Villanova play together. Like,
who would do that?
The reality is this ecosystem, this trade marketplace, it has meaning and it has value. And so when you send, even if he's this hidden gem that no one is picking up on, no one else would ever give up 5 first-round picks. But let's just assume the Knicks had the foresight. They're like, no, actually, he might be the best player in the league, and you guys just don't know it yet. His market value was not that. You don't overpay on that because, A, what if you're wrong? But B, it reduces your ability to do other things. The reason why the Knicks can't improve their roster anymore now is because they don't have picks. You don't think if with the Giannis issue right now, they would have loved to have some of those first-round picks back?
Well, the thing about Leon Rose and the Knicks architecture that I find fascinating right now as they reach, I believe, a real pressure point. I mean, they built something that now has expectations when they haven't closed out a home playoff game for their customers this century. And when you give that fan base 2 years allowed, it comes with expectations that if it loses in the first round to the Detroit Pistons, the level of anger that I'm already hearing from the New York fan toward Thibodeau, toward everybody who's not Brunson, everybody who's not Brunson and Hart is getting crushed because the expectations on this team are higher than they've been in a century.
The first guy on the chopping block is the butcher, unfortunately. That he's the one. When if it goes down, the first person who's getting blamed, and by blamed I mean
it's already happening though. I'm hearing and watching. I'm soaking in these Knicks broadcasts as they're happening, and they're just yelling at Thibodeau with an anger that suggests they don't think he can do this job. And I'm like, I kind of trust that coach.
Dan, this is what we were talking about with David, right? It's like, does the guy do a good job or not, right? And then if things don't go the way we expect it to, the way we plan it to, the way we want it to, are we assigning appropriate blame? Meaning, are we losing because Tom Thibodeau is making strategic decisions that are putting us in a bad spot? Now, some would argue, hey, overplaying your guys during the regular season, that is a strategic decision. Yeah. Jalen Brunson's ankle rolling, despite not stepping on anyone's foot or just him moving, right? Part of that is because it's an ankle that's been injured before. And when you roll your ankle, you are infinitely more susceptible to further injury to it unless it heals, you get the proper rest. But we know it didn't get the proper rest. Now, I would argue that wasn't Tibbs' fault. That's the 65-game rule's fault, right? Because if we didn't have the 65-game rule, he wouldn't have to rush back in order to play those games to make sure that he qualified. But neither here nor there. The reality is, if the Knicks lose in the first round, I don't think Tom Thibodeau survives. It's a shame. Wow. It's the same thing that happened to Michael Malone. It's the same thing that happened to Taylor Jenkins. These are guys who have done phenomenal jobs, all of them in cities where they had struggled, right? These guys came in and said, I know you're looking at decades of being awful. I will fix it. I will reverse it. I will change the culture here. They all did that, and the thanks that they got was get the hell out of here.
I mean, they've been a nothing franchise for decades, and now year after year after year with Thibodeau as the coach, they're in the mix. And, like, they can get rid of him if they don't win the series?
Oh, no, but you have to understand the way this was built for loud New York fan is we're going to break up this team that you love, and we're going to give you a threesome, and Bridges is going to be part of it, to challenge the Celtics. We're going to make trades that are win right now. We think we can beat the Celtics right now. That's an architectural flaw because you're not as good as they are, and you're not as good as Cleveland. And you can count on Mitchell Robinson's hands the way you once counted on Nerlens Noel's. and he will clean up around the basket, but you're not as good as those teams. And the season's going to end in failure. But if it ends in failure in the first round,
being up 3-1
in Game 7 at home,
obviously we're putting the cart before the horse. There still has to be a Game 6.
Oh, I'm just saying that's what the pressure is now on a hurt franchise that limps into these games with a fan base that's waiting to question them.
That's not the worst part. The worst part is, let's assume they get out of this series, right, alive. The Celtics are done. They're resting. Drew Holiday's resting that hamstring. Jaylen Brown's resting that quad. Those guys are waiting, and they already know, we kick your ass every time we play. Now you're going to give us 3-4 days of just chilling and watching you play and struggle. And, they don't like it when this happens. This is what happens. We get the ball out of Brunson over here. We trap him over here. They're just game planning and getting smarter every single day while you're over here trying to struggle to survive.